and then we'll get right into it. And yeah. Okay, so
Sounds
we're
good.
sitting live now, and should be playing the intro. And hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I'm really excited to have my guest on today. She's been a good friend of mine. We've been doing podcasts together for a long time. I have with me for a couple years. I've known Karen Holton for at least 3-4 years now. I think we talked about in past shows, but yeah. And Karen is she's going to be talking about her new book today, which is called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors, which is about her experiences of transdimensional ET contact, or you could say interdimensional, transdimensional. It's like and she's going to tell you guys all about it today. It's fascinating. And Karen Holton is a Canadian-based alternative wellness coach. She's an exopolitical activist and transdimensional experiencer. She's the creator of the Quantum Health Transformation System, a free online course designed to assist individuals in achieving holistic well-being by integrating ancient wisdom and modern practices. Karen is also the host of the Quantum Guide Show and the Aliens and Angels podcast, where she explores topics related to extraterrestrial contact and spiritual growth. In December 2024, she published her book, Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors, detailing her personal experiences aboard extraterrestrial craft, interactions with ET races, and insights into their cultures and advanced spiritual practices. And with all that said, I'd like to give her, and you can find Karen's website. It's www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. And I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show, my good friend Karen Holton. Thanks, Karen. How are you?
Hi, Rob. I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on. Actually, I think the first time I was on your show was in actually 2019. So, or
Wow.
it might have been 2020. So it's been quite a while, and we've been getting to know each other. And you've been very gracious letting me talk about my ET contact. But finally, now I've published my book, so everybody can read about it. And I'm going to do a slideshow presentation. But before we get started, I want to tell everybody that we're going to actually do a lottery. And we're trying to do some fundraising for Rob and for his channel. And we know he needs equipment and he needs different things. And so we want to support him as much as we can. Of course, not everybody has money to donate. We know that. But for those of you who can put in a donation, your name is going to go into a draw. And I'm not sure if he'll do that in a week or 2 weeks. That's up to Rob, but he's going to basically do like a lottery. Everybody who donates, their name goes in, and he's going to randomly select 3 people that are going to win free copies of signed copies of my new book. And also the presentation that I'm going to do today, everybody who makes a donation to Rob, he can email him and let him know that you made a donation in case he missed it. Probably he wouldn't, but I'm just saying. He will send you the PDF copy of the presentation today, and it's in full color of my extraterrestrial friends and the bit of overview of the book that I'm going to go into today. So Rob, I'm hoping you can put in the live chat some links for direct donations. And I'm really hoping that everybody can donate to this very worthy cause, because we know, Rob, that you work very hard to bring us so much amazing content. And we've learned so much from you. And it's a way that we can show our appreciation. Not everybody has a lot to give, but some do. And, I really want to encourage the audience to make a donation to you, Rob, and then their name will go in, and they might they might win a signed copy of my book. So that's sort of, I just wanted to make sure everybody understands that before we get started today. So my
And just
book
say, Karen, what I just wanted to say was Karen's sending me the guys. So Karen's sending me the books out from Canada. She's sending 3 books, and then like I'll probably just make the contest like today or tomorrow or something. You guys can donate, and whoever donates, like I'll put your name on a list, and then I'll pick 3 people, and then I'll probably put your names into a hat or something to make it fair. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'll send the books out individually. Like I'll pay for the shipping and I'll send them out to you guys. So you know what I mean? Like I'll mail them out to you individually, but it might take 2 weeks for the books to get here because Karen's sending them from Canada right now as we speak. Like, she has to mail them out and then they got to get here to Pittsburgh. And then once they get here, I can mail them out to you guys. But yeah, it's awesome. So we already got a donation from Denise. Thank you, Denise.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome. I'm gonna write your name down right now, Denise. Thank you. That was really nice of you. And I gotta find a pen here. Did you want to start off telling us a little bit about your experiences, Karen, and like how this all started?
Okay, I will. And while I'm doing my presentation, it's a really perfect time for you to write down all the names of the people that are donating. And again, I want to thank everybody on behalf of Rob. He's a super good guy. He's one of the best, and he relies on your donations to help him out. And so thank you in advance, everybody, and thank you, Denise. Very kind and very generous of you. Okay, so where did all this start? Well, it started actually in my childhood where I was having paranormal experiences. And I'm going to go into that when I do the slideshow so that I can talk about some of those paranormal experiences and show you some images. Now, the images are not actual selfies of me with ET. They are AI generated, and I just want everybody to know. But I worked with AI very closely, and I was quite surprised at how close the images are to my actual experience. And so I just want to be upfront, let people know that these are AI generated because they look very lifelike and realistic. And so all of that happened. But, Rob, really, just to fast forward a bit, I didn't have I guess my first huge contact was actually with an angel. And that happened in the mid 1990s. And after I had that contact, then fast forward to 2014, that's when I had my ET contact. And my contact is a little different than other people's. I would go to sleep at night and, in my own little bed, and boom, I'd be aboard this big ship having all these adventures. And there was a time dilation. So even though I may have only been gone for one night, I was gone for what it felt like, several days, several weeks, even months at a time. And so I would go to bed at night every night for 3 months. This happened every single night. And it was very different than when I dream. When I dream, it doesn't make much sense. The storyline's all over the place. I might not remember my dreams one night to the next. I might have 2 or 3 dreams in one night that don't make any sense and don't fit together. This was very different. This was transdimensional travel. And I explain in the book a little bit about how I believe this was possible for me. And so I would get up in the morning and my head, I was messed up for a while. My head would be full of all the things that I had experienced, days, weeks, even a month or two being on board the big ship and waking up, and it was the very next morning. And it was very psychologically difficult for me to handle at the time. But then I would go to bed at night, go to sleep, and I'd pick up exactly where I had left off in the morning. And I'd have another several days, weeks, even months of adventures, wake up, and again, it would be the next day. So you can imagine at the end of 3 months, I had more than enough experience for it to stop and give me time to process. And it took me, I'm not kidding, years to process my experience. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then I realized, no, I was not dreaming. These were very consecutive. The storyline was very orderly, and the experiences were very, very real. And what's more, they felt very physical. Some of the experiences, I felt like I was in an astral form, but many of them, I was there physically. And I don't have all the answers, but I lay it out for you the best I can in my book, Transdimensional, Meet the New Neighbors. I also want to add that because it's a new publication, you might have trouble finding me on Amazon, but the book is available on Amazon worldwide. So when you go onto the Amazon website, go to the menu and select books or select Kindle, because it's available in paperback and Kindle, and then type in the name of the book and it'll pop right up. So I just want to tell people, in case you're having trouble finding it, how for sure you can find it on Amazon. So yeah, so eventually I actually thought I was crazy. I thought I was like having delusions. Like I had no frame of reference what was happening for me and to me, Rob. It was really intense and really strange. And it's taken me years. And it wasn't until 2017 that I got the call from what I call my spiritual guides to get out there and start sharing my experience with people. It took me, so that's from 2014 to 2007, 3 years just to sort of unpack my experience. During this time, my life was very altered, was very isolated socially. I couldn't really talk about what had happened. People would just make fun of me or think I was crazy. But the good news is I was able to put it all together. And then by 2019, I met Preston Dennett, and he suggested I write a book, and that's how the whole thing got started. And eventually, I got the book written. I'm pretty happy with the way it's turned out. It's very factual, and instead of just having dates and experiences, whoops, I'm hearing some interference, Rob.
Uh,
I don't know what's
I'll
happening.
mute. I'll mute.
Okay, so so where was I? Yeah, so the thing is when I was writing the book, I wanted to actually bring the reader inside my experience with me, to have them get an idea of what it was actually like for me, so that they could get an idea of what transdimensional travel is also like. So I'm very happy with the results. And I hope that those of you who read the book, go back and leave me a comment, a review on Amazon. That would really help me a lot, because that'll push it out into the algorithm and people will find it easier to just type in the name of the book or my name and have it pop up much easier. So that's sort of how it all happened. I have a slideshow presentation. It's just images from my experience. So what I thought I would do is bring that up, share screen that, and then talk each page, talk about how my experience was in relation to the image. I think that's a lot more interesting for the viewers than to just listen to me talk about it. And those of you who are listening on audio, please do come over and watch the video so you can see these beautiful images. And all these images are contained within the book. They're in black and white, but they're in very high resolution. And so you will also have copies within the book. So that's sort of it. Rob, do you have any more questions before I attempt the slide?
No, this is good. I'm really enjoying this so far.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So I'm going to try to present. I don't know how you want to arrange me on the screen. There we go. There's slides and PDF. That's not the one. What's going on here? Let me just give me a second. And let me open that and get it to the right size and come back. Sorry, guys. So I'm
It's
going to
okay.
go present slides and PDFs. Okay, hang on a sec. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I just got to find the. No,
It'll
that's
pop up
not
at
it.
the bottom of my screen, and then I'll add it to the stage.
I don't understand why it says slides and PDFs. Oh, I know, my computer. Upload file. Sorry, guys. I'm not super.
Let me see. Let me go through it on my end. So I would go present, And then no, you know what you want to do is you're the wrong way. So you hit present and then you hit share screen first, and then you're going to hit the blue share screen again. Okay, then a window is going to pop up, and then it's going to ask you select window or screen, and then you either pick StreamYard or the entire screen. You usually want to pick, I think, entire screen, and then you hit allow, and that should share your screen. That'll share like any screen, I think.
Okay. Now, in the meantime, it's popped up on. Can you add it?
I'm adding it right now. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, it should be
And
adding
then
it
I
to it.
don't know
Sometimes it
whether
missed.
I'll be able to scroll through it or whether you'll have to scroll through it.
I think you'll scroll through it because it's on your end. It'll be,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. So can everybody see the cover of the book okay?
Yeah, I can see it well. I mean, I don't have it up on
Okay.
my phone. I can pull it up on my phone to see what
No,
I
it
can
seems to. I'm just wondering if the audience can just give us some feedback. Guys, can you see the screen share, the book, the cover? Yes. Okay, so we're good to go. So this is my book. So should I just ramble on, Rob?
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
this is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sorry, I didn't want to be bossy. I can be, I don't mean to be, but so here's the book,
It's okay, Karen.
Transdimensional. Meet the New Neighbors. On the cover, it has an image of the big ship, and you can see that it's sitting on a flower of life. So that flower of life actually symbolizes where the big ship is. So people want to know, oh, is it in this galaxy or in that star system? No, it's not in any of those places. It sits in interdimensional space. It's an interdimensional envelope where the big ship sits. So if you can imagine a Venn diagram of 100 different ovals, each representing a different dimensional reality, a different timeline, a different position in the multiverse. And imagine all those ovals are arranged like a daisy flower. And at the center, they all overlap. That's where the big ship is. It's in an interdimensional envelope. And in that way, they can bring aboard beings from all different kinds of realities. And it works very, very, very well. So, as I mentioned, when I was a child, I started having paranormal experiences and I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody to explain anything to me. My parents were, let's just say, preoccupied. And I was very afraid at night. So here's a picture of me when I was like around, just turned 5 years old, maybe 4.5, 5 years old. And I was so scared. I was all tucked in under my covers and I couldn't breathe because I was scared to even let my nose or my face show out from the covers. And I'm sure a lot of you have had that experience too. And so one night, this creature appeared before me, and I didn't know it at the time until years later when I saw a picture of it in a book, but it was actually a griffin. And a griffin has the head of an eagle, the wings of an eagle, but the body of a lion. And my griffin was completely made up of flames. And I don't know how, but I guess telepathically, it just let me know it was there to protect me. You can see the fierce look on its face. Anything that came near to harm me, it would take care of. And I felt very safe with this fiery griffin. And all I had to do was summon it at night and it would appear and it would stand guard over me. So, I mean, I've had these amazing, what I'm going to call transdimensional experiences really all my life. This is not something, that just happened in 2014 with the ETs. And another thing I had happen from my earliest memory, like 2 or 3 years old, was I dreamt that I was flying. But this was like a real experience, guys, and I had no idea what aerial photography looked like. I had no idea what the ground would look like below me, but I knew from my flying, and I would go flying almost every single night, and I could see below me the winding rivers and the trees and mountains. And sometimes I would travel really low and I could feel the blades of grass tickle my legs. And it was the most fantastic, amazing experience I ever had. And I'm sure a lot of you have had the dreams of flying. They were so real to me. I actually believed I could fly, but for some reason I couldn't trust myself. So I never jumped off any roofs or anything like that. But yeah, it was very much a Peter Pan experience, and it happened a lot. And so, although, I can't explain these experiences, they really saved me in my childhood because my childhood was not happy. I get into that a little bit in my book. I had a lot of childhood trauma. The reason I bring it up in the book is because I believe those of us who were traumatized as children, it opens up some kind of a portal or some thing where we're able to contact and have an interaction with other realms. So it's almost like when a door closes, a window opens, and I can't really explain it, but it was fantastic. Then I mentioned earlier that I had this angelic experience in the mid 1990s. This is interesting. So I had a very hard life lesson. My children went to live with their father for a while. He was remarried. We were divorced. He was remarried. And he talked me into letting them go to live with him. And then he cut me off. And I was cut off abruptly from my children. And my children were my world, my absolute world. And I was so sad. I went into a very deep state of grieving. And I was going to kill myself. But the funny thing about this is the way I was going to do it was a very specific way. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was being imprinted either from the residue in the house or perhaps the ghost of the man who had offed himself in the house before I moved in. It wasn't until 2 years later I met a woman and she asked me where I lived. And when I told her, she says, "Oh my God, I know the mother of the man who killed himself when he lived in that house." And when she told me what happened, it blew my mind because he had killed himself before I had moved in. I didn't know anything about it. I was just in this deep state of grieving. And somehow I tapped in to the compulsion to want to kill myself the same way this man had done it. It was a very specific way. So I knew that it was the energy from his demise that was affecting me. So anyway, the night before I was going to do it, I had an angelic encounter. And the angels appeared not actually as humanoids, but as points of light. And the light was flashing out the sides, giving them the appearance of wings. And they spoke to me all at once in one voice, like 1,000 voices in perfect harmony speaking to me. And they asked me, "Why do you want to leave this world?" And I told them, I said, "This world, it sucks. I'm not here just to suffer. I'm here to, learn something and feel like I'm being of value to the planet and to society." And so the angel said to me, or angels, not sure, said to me, "If you decide to stay, we'll give you a gift." And I didn't know what the heck this gift should be. Like, who has an experience with angels and who is offered a gift? Like, this was unprecedented, unimaginable to me. And I said, "Well, I would like to have some time to think about it. Would that be okay?" And they said, "Yeah, absolutely. And when you're ready, just let us know and we'll give you your gift." And I thought about all the things that might help me get my kids back: money, fame, beauty, like all the things ran through my head. And then I realized what I needed was wisdom, and what I needed was to understand how to do life so that I could have a successful life, figure out how to get my kids back, how to see my kids, how to make my life a blessing instead of it just being, never ending suffering all the time, which is not what life is for. So that is the only encounter I had with angels. It was fabulous. It was a full vision, like an overlay over what I was seeing with my eyes. And then I never had it happen again. It was very, very interesting. So that is how I sort of got started. And later on, I started meditating, and I did have some ET contact. I get into that in the book, but it wasn't until 2014 that I actually started making transdimensional contact. And the way I think I was able to start the process was through meditation. So some people think of it as the CE5 movement. Not really sure how it works. All I know is that's what I did. And then I started to have these experiences. So the other thing I want to talk about is Bob the Gray. Now, Bob the Gray is not his real name. That's a name that I gave him, and he doesn't mind me using it. I don't know what his real name is. We communicate through telepathy. And when you communicate through telepathy, you don't use English or any earth-based language. It's like a series of short film clips that you see in your mind's eye. It's body sensations, it's emotions, it's symbols. It can include auditory or visual overlays. And the combination is how you learn to use telepathy. And that's how I communicated with Bob. And I believe Bob actually actually was the one who got me somehow arranged for me to have the experiences I was about to have aboard the big ship. And when Bob first started appearing to me, I thought it was my imagination. Honestly, did not take it seriously at all. And it took 9 years before I started to go, oh my God, Bob's a real thing. And I started then, accepting the relationship and the help that I got from Bob. You'll notice he's dressed a little weird here. And this is the other thing. This completely busts the stereotype when it comes to grays, because Bob has a sense.
So I just want to say, someone mentioned his hat in the audience. And I said, I love his little turtleneck. He's got a little turtleneck on. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, he absolutely has a sense of humor. So when he appears to me, he's wearing black slacks, a black turtleneck sweater, and a black fedora. And when I asked him why he chose to dress that way, I know this is unbelievable. I do not expect any of you to believe me. I'm just telling you, this was my experience. And Bob let me know that he was a big fan of Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson. And he loves their music. He says their music, even though they're two different humans, their music produces the same kind of frequencies that give him an upbuilt mood, help him to be in a really good mood. And he's got a great sense of humor. And so I don't know if he really dressed like that or whether he just presented like that for my benefit, but I found that he had a great sense of humor. And you don't hear people talking about the Greys as having a sense of humor. But Bob the Gray absolutely has a sense of humor. And of course, I get more into that in the book. Did you have any more questions, Rob, about Bob?
no. If anybody in the audience has any questions while we're going to, you guys can ask any question you want, and I'll ask Karen. I was just trying to stay muted for the post part because I didn't want to mess up your presentation. But if I have a question, I'll kind of jump in if But I mean, this
Yeah,
is amazing so far. But one thing I
interrupt
wanted to
me.
tell you, just real quick, it's a couple people in the audience when you showed the Griffin or whatever that thing.
Yeah.
A couple people in the audience had dreams of that as a kid. This woman, Candace, and her husband have dreams of it. She said so. It's weird, right? Like it's weird how we all have similar, dreams. And then also a thought I had that I shared with the audience is I feel like that like if AI can draw these things, that I think that pretty much shows that they exist somewhere, because I feel like AI is picking up on stuff in other dimensions and other realities, and it's putting it into light.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like, wait till you see some of these images. It's uncanny how close AI came to my actual experience. It just blows me away. So Rob, I'm not getting any interference from your microphone now, so but please interrupt me because I get on a roll, and then I don't want to miss anybody's comments. And again, I want to remind everybody we're doing a fundraiser for Rob, so any donations are greatly appreciated. He's put a link, or hopefully he'll put a few links in the live chat so that you can send him donations if you can. And Rob's going to send out 3 signed copies of my book. So he's going to do like a lottery, a random draw, and if you donate, your name will go in, and you might win one of my books. So
And
I
just
just
to say, so far we have Jennifer, Denise, Melinda, and Jonathan. Thank you all for donating. And Jennifer, made a really nice donation. I mean, they're all very nice donations, but Jennifer was like very generous. So thank you all. I mean, anybody who donates $1, I'm happy about it. I'm thankful to get $1. So like anybody who donates, I'm just very appreciative of it. So thank you, and thank you for doing this, Karen. That's really nice of you. Like because I'll tell you what,
oh
it was tough for 2 weeks when I didn't have my YouTube, and like I lost a
yeah.
lot of income. So this helps a lot. This does.
Yeah, well, I want to help you out. You've been good to me, Rob. You're my good friend, and I want to help you out. The other thing is, guys, if you make a donation, send an email to Rob and remind him if he doesn't do so already. But he'll send you a copy of this PDF, so you'll have the full color PDF that you can look through whenever you want. So
That's
that's
really
the other
cool.
thing. And everybody gets one. You don't. It's not going to be a lottery like it is for the book. So, anyways, so then I started going to bed at night, like I told you, and going to sleep, and boom, here I was aboard the big ship. And there's all kinds of beings. So, the beings on the big ship do not look like stereotypical grays. In fact, most of them are very human like, and they come in all shapes and sizes and different skin tones. And later on, and in the book, I get into this. In chapter 3, I get into the intergalactic resettlement program. So there actually is a resettlement program. That's a real thing. And I talk all about how that works in chapter 3. And I was involved in what we call a pre settlement program. So I was involved in scientific expeditions to different worlds where we would scan plants and do assessments of the atmosphere and figure out whether or not it was feasible for humanoids to come to these planets to resettle. And you guys would not believe it, there are billions of planets that are ready to receive humanoids. They've got plants, they got water, atmosphere, gravity, they've got bugs and birds and fish and animals and everything, but no humanoids. Humanoids are generally put onto worlds as needed or as wanted. And they are always highly advanced. They don't just take screwed up societies and move them onto these beautiful, pristine worlds. So here's an image. I give you 2 very detailed accounts of worlds that I visited as a spectator. And this is one of the worlds, and it was they all lived in tree houses because this particular planet produces copious amounts of dew. And so that is how everybody's able to stay dry and keep their homes dry, as they all live up in the trees. And the sand is black and very sparkly. And this was a very tropical like village. And I had such a great time. And I give you great detail on what I did when I was visiting this world, and it was fantastic, just incredible. I also want to talk about the beings on the big ship. So this image represents a couple that I got to know quite well. They became very close friends to me. And what's interesting, one of them is a male and one of them is a female, but not the way you might think by looking at the image. Actually, the females have more facial hair than the males do. And it's just how it is on the world that they're from. They have olive skin, they've got hazel colored eyes, and they've got this very bright red, spiky hair. So when it comes to gender, everybody on Earth is squabbling about gender designations, but in space or in transdimensional reality, gender does not always display the way we expect it to do so here on Earth. And here's an image. This experience happened to me 11 years ago. Of course, I was younger, but I had very long white hair. And so this image represents the diversity between the different kinds of beings I met while I was on board the big ship. So you can see the woman to my right or to the left of this photograph. She looks very human. If you saw her walking down the street, you might not even realize that she was not human. Whereas the being on the other side definitely looks like what we would call an alien or ET. So there's great diversity in how they look and in how they present. And some of the customs are very similar to here. Some wear makeup, some are into tattooing, although usually their tattoos are not permanent. Um, Many are into head or hair removal. Some of them are even into head sculpting, as you'll see in some of these images. And this is an image of an elder couple. So the big thing that's different about ETs and humans is they live for much longer. They live for at least 500 years. So around the first 100 years is when they reproduce. Usually after about 200 years, they no longer have the desire for sexual contact, and they take that energy and they transmute it into spiritual gifts. So they become learned scholars. They're extremely powerful when it comes to telekinesis and telepathy and things like that. But you can see that they remain in good health. They remain in good health until the day they choose to go on to the next stage of life, which we consider to be death. And they don't get old and decrepit. They don't lose their minds. They don't lose their memories. They stay in amazing, good health. Here's another
I got
image
a
of the
question
big
real quick,
ship.
Karen. Do they
Yeah,
know?
sure.
Do they all know about us? Do they all know about humans? And what do they think about us? Like,
No, no. And I cover that in chapter 10, the last chapter. I get into that in great detail. No, in fact, um, you got to consider that space is a busy place. It's full of activity, it's full of life. Most of these beings would not even know that we exist. We're not that important. I know that's a shock to a lot of people, but we're not that important. Plus, until we put away our negative traits, our warring ways, our dysfunction, our psychopathy, we would be so disturbing to these peaceful, loving beings that they'd have nightmares. So it's interesting that in our world, we have bad dreams about grays, but in their worlds, they would have nightmares if they had a glimpse into how we live here on Earth. And so the thing is these beings are at our next stage of development, and they've already put away warring ways and psychopathy, and it doesn't work, and they've eliminated it from their timelines and from their societies.
so there's no such thing as like an alien serial killer or something like that. There's no evil ones,
Never.
is what you're saying.
Never. Now, I don't know about all ETs. I only know about my realm of experience, and these ETs are transdimensional, and they may not be the same group or have anything to do with the ETs that are presently visiting Earth. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, like there could be like
I'm not a
reptilians and grays abducting
Yeah,
people,
I
but like
don't know
this is a
about
separate
them.
group. Yeah, yeah,
I didn't
I
have
got you.
experiences with gray. The only gray I really had an experience with was Bob, and it was
Yeah.
very pleasant and very positive. So the other thing about the big ship is all the food grows naturally. They have a hydroponic system, and all the food grows, and you just go and you gather what you're drawn towards, what you're attracted to, and you get together, you snack. But once a day you'd get together and actually prepare meals with the other beings. And I get into that in great detail. I don't want to be too long because I know we're limited for time. This is my buddy. And my buddy was assigned to me during my orientation process. And she stuck with me 24/7 until I was completely comfortable aboard the big ship with the customs and the ways of doing things and where everything was. And we communicated through telepathy. So you can see she looks very human, but her skin had a teal tone to it. Rather than being white or brown, you'll see some have an orange tone, but most are different shades of brown from pale to very, very dark. And she was absolutely lovely. And she got me oriented, stayed with me. It was a beautiful process. I have a whole chapter devoted to my orientation process. And then the other thing that I thought was unusual is aboard the big ship, we have what you would consider a community bath. So every morning we'd get up and we'd go down to the community baths. And it's not for removing soil, it's not for cleansing. It's actually puts us in a deep meditative state. And we have a very deep bonding experience. We don't really use telepathy, we don't communicate during this process. We just hang out together and we get into this beautiful meditative state. And that's how we start the day. And um, it says, oh, I see there's one question in the chat. So be they change the water. This is not the same as drinking water. This is actual nutrient. And after it gets cycled through the community baths, it then gets cycled through the hydroponic system to feed all the plants on board. There's tons of plants, and it's very much like, when you walk out in nature, it's a beautiful kind of a moist environment. And I found that aboard the big ship. Here's an image of myself holding a wee one. Procreation, by the way, was done very much the old fashioned way, the way humans do it, with a male and a female conceiving and giving birth. That's pretty much how it was done. I saw no evidence of incubators and cloning stations or anything like this. This guy is someone who's very different than all the other ETs I met. I call him an aquatic, but the fluid that they live in is actually not H2O. It has the same oxygen content as the air we breathe. And this actually, believe it or not, is a shaman. And I actually went to see him for a healing, and I had to change my body so that I could get the oxygen I needed from fluid rather than gas. So we have these technologies that I call the healing pods. And when you go into a healing pod, it reconditions your body. A lot of people don't realize that when you visit different worlds or different environments, or even come from Earth to the big ship, it's a different environment. Your body needs to be conditioned because there's changes in gravity, in oxygen content, and nutritional values of the food. Like, there are a lot of things to take into consideration. We can't just go to this planet, that planet without reconditioning. Anyway, chapter 8, I get into great detail about their mating practices, how they operate on the love harmonic, how they reproduce. All of that is covered, including my experience with the shaman. And yeah, so I'm not going to talk
I
much
got a
about that.
question
You'd
about
have to.
real quick, and this is kind of deep, but I mean, is it the same for them? Do they, how they say like dolphins have sex because it feels good, and humans do? Like, is it the same way with ETs, or do they just do it
Yeah.
more as a procreation thing?
No, no, you can. Okay, first of all, when just separate it, love, sex, and reproduction. When you're looking at love, everybody vibes on the love harmonic. Everybody's patient with each other. They're peaceful, they're loving, they're kind, they're mild, they're beautiful beings. And they would never, ever try to get you to do something that you didn't want to participate in. Second of all, there's sex, and I would say the beings on the big ship are sex positive. Now, when you learn telepathy, you learn different ways of expressing. So when you use telepathy, you have to learn how to keep your thoughts private. So many sexual relationships are kept private between adult beings. Okay. When you learn telepathy, you also learn how to share your imaginings with just a few people, or you learn how to share with the whole group. And I get into that in great detail in the book. But as far as sexual relationships, adults um, who are single, they will have liaisons with other adult extraterrestrials, sometimes just one at a time, sometimes with two or three. It's not too complicated, and it's generally done in private. But then when they're ready to form families and they want to reproduce, at that point they choose one mate and they stay in a monogamous relationship until the child reaches adulthood. And the reason they do that is because they know it's serious business to bring a soul into corporeal state. They know that they have to devote their time and their energy to the offspring and to each other to form successful families that will grow up to be healthy and continue on creating healthy families. And so it's not a rule, it's a choice. But once they want to reproduce, they do choose monogamous relationships. Does that answer your
Yeah,
question,
that's
Rob?
interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting how they live. I'm so interested. We had one question from the audience. It was I almost missed it. It was from Kit Liz London. I'll put it up on the screen. She says, just real quick, she says, I hope Gen Beta gets to interact with more beings, with other beings. She says, do you think Gen Alpha had much interaction?
Can't speak for anyone else, but I will tell you the truth. I'm nobody special. And if I can have these relationships, I'm sure other people can too. And in chapter 9, I teach you how to open yourself up to have these relationships. So it does involve taking care of your health, it does involve quietening your mind, it does involve learning how to, what I call, listen consciously and through meditation practices for communication. And then that skill is built over time. And so, like I said, I absolutely believe that this is the true contact, and it's transdimensional and it takes many different forms with different kinds of beings, some more ethereal, some more physical, but I believe it's absolutely possible and will be the wave of the future. But first, we have to detoxify and we have to learn that we're living in a construct that has us basically living like slaves. We need to free our minds, our souls, our bodies, take good care of ourselves, learn how to get along. That's super important. ET is not going to want to come hang out with you if you can't get along. You got to learn to get along. Got to learn to be peaceful and mild and patient and use self discipline. So here's another image of me with my friend Bob, and he facilitated in 2020 an astral projection slash remote viewing. Like what's happening? It's hard to define. Is it astral projection? Is it remote viewing? Is it lucid dreaming? Like I think all of those have are overlap and are part of the same phenomenon. But he facilitated for me to go back to the big ship, and I learned about alien implants and all kinds of stuff, and that's in the book too. And he also is the one who helped to release my memories. So, most of us, this is the other thing, I was told that there are millions of us on Earth today who are having transdimensional experiences, but most forget, and they forget for a reason. Our memories are suppressed so that we can re embed ourselves into the Earth matrix because we're here for soul evolution. But also, sometimes it's not safe. You don't want men in black coming knocking on your door and picking you up and God knows what. Like the powers that be are pretty shady on this planet. So it can be a protection for us not to remember. And then the other thing, too, is we're just used to being told this is fantasy, this isn't real, or that we're mentally ill. And so we have these experiences and these memories and we brush them aside because let's face it, nobody wants to be a weirdo. It's hard enough to get along. Here's another image of me with some of my friends. And as you can see, the skin tones are very varied. You'll notice the kind of imprint on the high forehead of the more pale being there. They do that. They're actually, I don't know how they do it. It doesn't cause them pain. But if you could imagine, they are able to somehow, through technology, press imprints onto their scalps instead of wearing hair. It's just a personal preference. Here's an example of some of the tattooing that's done. And generally, the tattooing is not permanent, but sometimes it is because that's their idea of beauty. Um, Again, here is a kind of a combination between the tattooing and the imprinting on the scalp. It's really quite attractive, especially once you get used to it. Here's another being with another example. She's wearing makeup, she's wearing clothes. In some ways, ET is not really that different from us. And then I didn't really, I don't know if I have time to talk about it, but there's also a situation where you can go on board the big ship and you're actually within a clone body. So your consciousness can get transferred to the big ship and you can enter a clone body. And I don't know if these are real clones, whether they're 3D printed. I don't know if they're synthetic, biologic. I don't know. But I did have a couple of experiences inhabiting them, and I wrote in great detail about that in the book. But it's a way that you can have physicality aboard the big ship when you're only going to be there for a day or maybe 2 days. And so that's another possibility. Here again are some more ET beings. You can see they look very much like us. They're not scary. They have that pressing on their foreheads for the kind of make indents and patterns and makeup. And, you know, when you get used to them, they're really quite attractive. Here are some other beings. They look quite different again. I believe these are actually wearing a kind of a, it's not a hat, but it's kind of a sheath that goes over their skulls that gives them the impression of having,
Hey, Karen,
you know, these designs.
we had
Um,
another question real quick. This one was from
sure.
Denise. Yeah, I just wanted to add to Denise's question. She says you talk about in your book how to reach them. I just want to.
Yeah.
I know you're friends with Chris Matthew, and I know Chris and Matthew initiated contact through meditation. And I know that, I mean, you said your contact experiences kind of started with meditation, then later evolved into your dreams. Like, do you feel like that's a big entry, like gateway point
Yeah.
for contact, like the meditation? Is that how people can really reach like not just higher states of evolution as humans, but like actually reach like some form of contact with another being?
Now, there's several ways, Rob. Okay, you can do it just through meditation. You can do it through psychedelics. Frank Castle's a prime example who has
Yeah,
had
that's a
tons
good
of
point.
ET contact through ayahuasca. Okay, and in chapter 9 of my book, I give detailed instructions on how you can go about initiating contact. It's learning how to listen through the peripheral of your consciousness. And so I do tell you how to do that. And also, there is Dr. Stephen Greer's CE5 protocols. I highly recommend them. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Dr. Greer, and some think he's a shill. I don't believe it's a shill. His CE5, which is human initiated contact protocols, are absolutely sound.
Yeah,
So here I
yeah,
have another image of another elder. You can see his eyes are bright, he's clear, he's just old, you know. Some live longer than 500 years, but just to give you an example, here's another. Maybe you could remove the
oh,
chat
sorry,
image there.
yeah.
No, it's okay, just so they can see the images better. And you can see these things are really quite orange looking. They have very bright blue eyes. But again, they don't look really any different than the humans that shave their heads. And here are most beings do have color, but there's the odd ones that just don't have pigment. So this is an example of those beings.
Were they
And
were they fascinated by you? Were you being
oh
there? And
yeah,
were there any other humans there when you went there? Like any other? Did
no,
anybody else make it there besides you at that point?
no,
Like, wow.
no, not at all. And yeah, they were fascinated with the way I looked. And of course, they're always curious. Like it's don't be shocked, but you will have beings come up to you and ask you if you would consider them for future pleasuring, because they're really curious on how different humanoids um, look and experience the sex act. And what's also interesting is there are quite a few humanoids who have their genitalia concealed within their body. And it isn't until they reach the arousal state. I hope this isn't too much for the YouTube algorithm,
No,
but
it's
it isn't
okay.
until they're in an aroused state that then their genitalia kind of pop up and are ready for action. So,
And
yeah,
remember,
so
this video is for people 18 and older, and I definitely marked that in my YouTube videos. Like, no one underage should be watching this video, and if you are, turn this video off. I mean, with your parents' permission, because I don't think we've said anything too, but my videos
no,
are
I've
marked
been
for 18 and older. But you know,
Yeah. So, I mean, some people don't want their kids to hear about this, and other people are fascinated by it. So it's like up to you guys. But I'm just being honest. And again, this is all in the book. So there's a whole chapter devoted to it. So um, here's another image. You can see that these beings also do the head pressing to inlay the pattern right on their skulls as well. And let me see, I'm not sure how many I have left. Here's another example. This couple, the male has no hair and the female has long hair like me. Like there's great diversity. And the other thing too is they don't have any taboos. They have no concept for racism. So many of these beings have been intermixing for thousands of years. And it doesn't matter what color you are or how tall you are or what your makeup preference is. Those are irrelevant. What matters is, are you a loving being? Do you add to the harmony of the cosmos? Do you
Karen, I got
elevate
another question.
beings to a new level? Sure.
Yeah. Did you talk to these beings about our reincarnation cycle, and did they have a reincarnation cycle, and do they feel like we're trapped in a prison planet, or what's going on with all that?
No, I did almost no communication about the way Earth was because I knew it would be disturbing to these gentle beings. But let me put it to you this way: most live for at least 500 years. And when they shed their body, which we would consider death, they go on to another realm of existence. They know that when we're born is not the beginning and when we die is not the end. They know that. They know that. And so the whole cycle of reincarnation would not be strange to them at all. They just see it as progressing through different levels of spirituality and ways of becoming corporeal or non-corporeal.
Yeah.
So there's another image of one of the elders. And here's a family. They look quite a bit like what we would consider grays, except they have real blue eyes. And that's a family. And oh, that's the end. So I'm not sure how
Wow, I
to make
loved
this
it.
go away.
Uh, Crystal Clear wants to know: do you have Rob? Do you have a link for the PayPal donation? Yeah, I'll give you right here, Crystal. It's Well, let me just put the PayPal in for you, Crystal. It's PayPal.me/typical skeptic media. It's real easy. But what I was going to say was that was fascinating, Karen. That was amazing. Like that was I mean, I saw it before because I was on your show, but like, I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was like, I
Thank
mean,
you.
and what's so interesting is when you're going through those images, I can almost see those beings coming to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can see them like starting to move around in my mind because like I'm like witnessing them as like I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like those images are so real from the AI that like I feel like I can start bringing those beings to life if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, everyone who makes a donation, no matter how small, Rob can email you a copy of this PDF. so that you have it. And you can think about, the things that I've talked about, and hopefully buy my book and read about my experiences, and remember that this is possible for you as well as for me. And I just want to add, I just finished my second book, and it's a picture book. And it's called Transdimensional #2 Meet the Greys Picture Book. And I have over 350 AI generated images of different kinds of grays: males, females, children, hybrids, human looking grays. And I've got submissions from other ET contactees who have had extensive contact with the grays. So I've got a page by Dolly Safran. I've got a page by Preston Dennett. I've got a page by Philip Kinsella. I've got 8 of us give our experiences in chapter 1 and chapter 2. And then chapter 3, right through to the end, is over 350 full-size color images that's going to be coming out soon. So I know you're going to want to read the first book first before you get to the second book. And the reason I did a picture book about the grays is because everyone's scared. And there's so much UFO activity right now. And there's so much negative press about the grays that I wanted people to have the visual so they can get used to what beings that look different than humans might look like, so that they're not freaked out when images start showing up on the news and stuff, so that people can have a more balanced perspective and be used to it and go, oh yeah, well, that's just the grays. You know what I mean? Because it gets into your consciousness, you become aware, and you lose your fear. And when you lose your fear, nobody can bamboozle you and con you, because you can think rationally and you can stay grounded. So I wanted to throw that out there. Exactly. Not all grays are evil. Like, I don't know. I hear some are, but most people that I know that have had scary experiences with grays, later on, they come to understand they were scared because they had no frame of reference to what was happening. They did not understand that these beings communicate and are different than us. Once they came to understand what that was about, they lost their fear. And now they've all written books about their experiences, and they all give positive reports now. So, that's interesting too. I don't know if you want to take this down now.
One thing I wanted to mention that was interesting about the free study, when I've had Kathleen Martin on my show, because I really believe there are some negative evidence out there. But one thing Kathleen Martin said, she said with the free study, that was the something study for extraterrestrial and encounters. They said that 80% of people's encounters were positive, or they were, and I think Preston Dennett says that too. So maybe there is some misinformation out there about like what's going on. Like, I don't know.
And maybe there are some nefarious grays. Like, I don't know. And I don't understand or know anything about the reptilians or any of that stuff. All I know is that when it comes to the cosmos, it's a friendly, loving place, because that's the only system that works. Let's face it, if we're at war with each other and having conflict, that does not bode well for the future of any species or any race of humanoids. We have to learn to get along. We have to learn to love, and we need to learn how to be respectful of each other. It's the only system that works. Anyway, get into all of that quite a bit.
I'm also putting in remember you said if people donated today, they would get a copy of the PDF. So I'm putting that in the chat. I'm putting that they'll get a copy of the PDF, and I'm giving them my email. Or do you want me to give them your email? Would you rather email?
No, give them, if you don't mind giving them. Well, unless you're too busy, it'd be great if you could give them.
No, I can email it out to everybody. I just didn't know if you wanted to talk.
No, I sent you a copy, and everybody can have a copy of that. I have no problem with that. And you can keep it, you can share it with your friends, and it's basically to encourage you to buy the book and learn more. Because I think that if we're ignorant, then we're like sitting ducks to the nefarious agendas on this planet. Like I said, we live in a construct. I believe that there are forces who want us to remain enslaved and ignorant and fearful, because then we're easier to control. And the more information we have out there, And the more grounded we are, the more we can make intelligent decisions for ourselves. And there's enough to be scared. To be honest with you, Rob, I've had such shitty experiences with humans. I don't think ETs could compare. So, if you look at the things that are going on in this world that humans are doing to other humans, wow, it's way worse than all these stories about the so-called grays, reptilians, whatever. I think I'm
Yeah.
not saying we should be afraid of humanity, but we should be aware that maybe ET is not the problem. Maybe the problem is humanity, and we need to smarten up.
I just put a link for people to buy a copy of your book too. I put your Amazon link in the chat too, and
Thank you.
that's also in the description, guys. Too, if you want to get the book, the link's in the description, and it's also I just put it in the chat there. So yeah.
Yeah, and if you
Um,
guys could leave me a review on Amazon would really help me a lot because it will strengthen the algorithm. People will have an easier time finding my book. Some people type it into Amazon, they can't find my book, but they don't know they need to go to the bookstore or the Kindle store. It's available in paperback and Kindle, and I'm saving up because it costs money for a voice actor so I can get it done in Audible. And I want it done really well in Audible so y'all can really enjoy it.
yeah, and that's amazing. And guys, don't forget to email me if you want a copy of the PDF. I put my email in the description. It's real easy. It's typicalskeptic1@gmail.com. Nicole wanted to know if I got her donation. Yeah, I got your donation, Nicole. Because I know a lot of people, like Emily Rich, said she really liked this artwork, and Nicole. And they're gonna, so if you want your copy, definitely like email me so like I know to send it to you, because otherwise, I might forget, and I don't want you to miss out on getting your PDF copy. Like that was really nice of the other people who donated today. Like like that was really nice of everybody. And so I guess I can make it towards the end of the day so people see this, and then tomorrow I could pick the winners. I guess, right, or
Sure.
whatever.
However you want to do it is fine with me. And the book should be there within a couple weeks, might even be sooner. And I'm wondering, did you get the donation from Crystal Clear? They
Yeah,
said
yeah,
in the
that's
chat.
Nicole. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay, good,
yeah.
good. And
So
yeah, and guys, even if you can only donate a couple of bucks, it would still help Rob out a lot. And so this is sort of a fundraiser. I've talked on a lot of other podcasts about my book, but this is the first time I've ever actually done a slideshow presentation because I think a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I wanted to make it fun for everybody and kind of a fun event. And Rob, when you were on my show, the Quantum Guide show, January 1st, I meant to do a fundraiser, but then it didn't quite work out. So today I'm making up for that.
yeah, thank you, Karen. I'm just making sure I have the email. Maybe is the PDF in the email, or I'm looking through my email. Like,
You know
I
what?
don't
I
know.
can go and would you like me to go and put it in on Messenger for you?
Yeah, that'd be fat. That'd be easier. Yeah, because I'm a little bit behind on my email.
Okay.
Because I get winter depression, and I need to catch up on
Oh, I'm
emails
sorry.
and direct messages. I'm sure you know how that is. You ever get? I
Oh
just get
yeah.
winter. I get like I end up like days behind on emails and stuff, and I don't mean to be. It's just like something that happens. Like I don't know. Like,
You
but
know what, Robert? You don't need to explain to me. I live where it's often 40 or 50 below, and our winters are 6 months long, and I don't have a car. And so I'll tell you, by around February or March, thank God I got my book to keep me busy. But around February, March, I just start getting depressed from the short days. And I totally understand. Rob, I just sent you the PDF in Messenger. Did you get it okay?
let me see here. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I'll
Okay, so now
download it
you've
and then I'll
got
send
it.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So I'm sorry you've suffered from depression. Many of us do. It sucks, but I have to tell you, me working on these books has really helped a lot. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. Pretty excited
Um,
to be an author. My this book, Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, it's number 14 in Kindle already. It's already a bestseller.
that's
So I'm really,
amazing. It's a
yeah,
bestseller.
I'm
Wow,
really,
congratulations, Karen. I'm
yeah,
so
thank you.
happy
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank
Karen,
you.
that's awesome. That's a huge accomplishment.
I don't know how it happened, but I'm really happy about it. So if there's anybody out there who has podcasts that would like to have me on to talk about my book, that would be wonderful because I just want to keep telling people about it. And maybe I could come back, Rob, and do a slideshow, and we could do my new book called Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys picture book, and maybe we could talk about that and do another fundraiser.
Yeah, I wanted to show people this is how nice of a person Karen is. So, and maybe you could promote this now, Karen, if you want. If you want to promote some of your organite. So, guys, like I'm this organite that I'm holding up. I mean, holding my light up to it so you guys can see it better. It's a really nice one. You can see it has the crystal in the center of it, and it has the flower of life sticker on top. Karen sent me this 4 years ago. She sent me it 4 years ago when we first became friends. You know, when we first started doing podcasts together, and I kept it all that time. Like I keep it right by my
Wonderful.
router, to the
Thank you.
modem, and
Yeah,
that was
so
really nice of you, Karen. Like that
thank
was,
you. If people want to help support my work, they can go to my website, and I have a shop, and I sell a few crystals, and I sell orgone generators. I talk about orgone generators and why they're important also in my book. But if you go to my shop, what I have is all I have left, but I still have quite a few. And if you want to check out my orgone generators and help support my work, that would be great because, as Rob knows, there's always expenses to keeping a website. Video editing software, our laptops crash and we have to get a new computer. And if it isn't that, we need a microphone, or it's always something, and it costs us money to be able to produce our shows. But we do it because we love the people, and, it gives us meaning and gives us a reason to get up every day and gives us things to do, right?
yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much, Karen. This was amazing, and yeah, until next time, I guess. And congratulations! I'm so happy for you that your book's 14 on. And hopefully it goes up. Hopefully it goes up to number one.
That'd be
I
great.
hope.
I'd be very excited by that. Yeah. So the Kindle is number 14 bestseller already. So thank you, everybody, so much for supporting my work. And thank you for donating to my friend Rob Khalil. He's one of the best. He's a good guy and he deserves all the encouragement and support we can give him. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks, guys, and I'll see everybody. This is my last video for today, so I'll see you guys all tomorrow, and have a good day, everyone. Take care, guys.